morning, and welcome to Morning Java, brought to you as always by our friends at the Get-Go Cafe and Market, where for a limited time only, Carter, it is Substravaganza.
Substravaganza, get you your 7-inch sub, $4.99, starting right there. Add any toppings you want. I do all the time.
Steak and pepper jack for me this week.
Good choice.
I had it a couple days in coming back from our previous trip. Let's talk, football.
Yeah, of course.
It's Carter. Let's talk Artie Burns versus Cam Sutton / Cody Sensabaugh. Go.
Okay. Well, you gotta
Not at the same time.
Throw two guys in
Not
here.
at the same time.
I would say
That would be cheating.
if you ask Cody Sensabaugh, I say Artie Burns. If you ask Cam Sutton, at least for this game against the Ravens with their deep ball, I'd consider Sutton.
Why?
Because I think Cam Sutton is a little bit more confident in how he covers the deep ball than Artie Burns. I think Artie Burns, when he loses a play, he gets in his own head. I think he's an extreme talent that can be developed, but he has to be able to shake off his mistakes. And that's something that he does not do well. I see Cam Sutton in that Browns game. You saw.
Yeah, his hand was on. I mean, he also looked away on the one touchdown that Tyrod Taylor threw. He never looked back, I should say. But
no, he wasn't supposed.
He adjusted. He's always supposed to look back.
Well, no, not. You're supposed to keep your eyes on the receiver and challenge when they challenge, because especially in man coverage.
He never did.
But here's my point with that is that Taylor went over his head to Gordon and he scored a touchdown.
Yep.
Taylor tried it again. Sutton
adjusted beautifully,
Yes.
and that's something that I wrote about from Cleveland at length, where he turned around and he made a play on the ball, and that's the part that I like about Sutton, and that's why I'd actually at least think about having him out there.
I would too.
Sunday against Flacco, and that's not to punish Artie, and it's not to bury him. Give him a week.
Yes.
I mean, not more than that, because there's only 16 of these things.
But yeah,
give him a week.
Give him a week, but he's good underneath coverage, keeping the play in front of him. When Flacco throws over his head, then I got questions.
Antonio Brown versus Juju Smith-Schuster.
Antonio Brown. Yes, Juju's having a better season.
Sunday. I'm talking about Sunday. I don't know. We're not getting into Canton credentials yet.
Wait. But what are you talking about?
I'm talking about the fact that right
who's
now
gonna have more yards.
Is Juju the number one receiver right now?
No,
He's being
not.
targeted the most, not ranking them. I'm talking about in their activity in the games.
He's saying who's the most productive. If you're
He's
saying
being
who's
the most
gaining
targeted.
the most,
He's being the
you know
most
why
productive.
he's being the most targeted?
Because the other guy's covered. However,
because their teams are targeting him.
That's fine.
And here's the one thing that I've been saying for years, and people have always said Antonio Brown this, Antonio Brown that, and this, and Antonio deserves every bit of credit he gets. But the thing is that Ben Roethlisberger's biggest sins when it comes to passing decisions is he overcommits to Antonio Brown.
Yep.
And when teams like the Patriots, teams like the Jaguars take him away, he does not consistently say, okay, let me go through my progressions. Let me figure something out. This year so far, I have seen Randy Fichtner work with him, and especially in that Buccaneers game, he's finding other guys. And that's what Juju is doing.
The guy with the most targets, the guy with the most catches, the guy with the most yards, the guy with the most touchdowns is your number one receiver. Regardless of
not necessarily
is sitting. Yeah, I mean that's what it is. Right now, Ben is looking for him. Ben is looking for, in general, we've seen that Ben is looking for a lot of crossing routes. He's looking for plays over the middle. That's to his credit and to Randy Fichtner's credit. They got Vance McDonald involved. They've gotten Ryan Switzer involved. Actually, a really pretty touchdown.
Yes.
That was over at the left edge of the end zone there the other night
Lining
in Tampa.
him up at halfback and motioning him out.
Really nice. James Washington going across the middle, putting the ball up in the air, where it's his strength. They're going up there making plays here.
To cover the field.
Now, here's the question that I have for Mr. Film Study here. You tell me that AB is getting the separation that he should.
He's getting.
Don't make excuses for him.
He's getting the separation.
Where?
He's open when he's single covered. The thing is that often they shade the safety over him, and when that happens, Ben Roethlisberger rightfully, I'm not looking there. I'm taking my one-on-one option.
And when did double coverage start stopping Antonio Brown?
It's not about stopping Antonio Brown.
You just said it was. You're just making every excuse in the book for the guy, Carter.
Decision, Dejan. I'm talking about Ben Roethlisberger is now not staring into the double coverage, because here's the thing. Antonio Brown's so good that he's like, you know what? I'm going to take that shot. And if he did that this year, he probably still would get more completions. But he knows that as the smarter quarterback, as the field commander, I need to see the field and hit Vance McDonald when he can stiff arm somebody and run 75 yards for a touchdown.
The 2017 version of Antonio Brown gets much better separation on his double coverage than the 2018 version. Is all I'm saying.
Disagree.
Joe Hayden, circa right now, versus Joe Hayden, circa his best years in Cleveland.
I'd take Joe Hayden circa his best years in Cleveland, just as I think he was a little bit quicker. One thing I always really admired, Dejan, about how Joe Hayden works, he doesn't rely on his hands like so many cornerbacks do.
They're there.
And here's the thing: in Cleveland, he would shadow people without using his hands. He would put his hands down and just mirror you with his feet. Now he's starting to use his hands because he's a little bit older. But he's combined that, and he's still very good. But it's like in Cleveland, he made up for so much that they did. I mean, it was just remarkable how he was able to be a centerpiece by being outside like that.
That's right. Yeah.
So I take
so much of what they did, because it's Cleveland, was so bad that he
to
would
look
actually,
as good as he did.
But that would actually, for the purposes of highlighting his skill set, was ideal.
Yes.
For the purposes of winning games, not so much. I look at the way he played the other night, Monday in Tampa, and his attitude afterward. He was really kind of cool about it. He wasn't like, look at me, I'm back, none of that stuff. That's not Joe Hayden. He was very measured about his performance, even when I brought up with him the big hit.
Yeah,
which I thought
was a big tone setter.
It was, I've heard people describe what Vance McDonald did and the stiff arm as being the big da-da-da-da. I'm sorry, for me that started with Joe Hayden's hit, because all of the defensive guys who had to still feel so lousy about it, I love what he brought to the team. I can't fairly compare him to the Cleveland situation for a bunch of reasons, not least of which is that we only saw him twice a year. This is different. This player is I don't like to use the word great. He's a very close to great player in the NFL when he's healthy and on top of his game.
I agree, and not just because of his athleticism, but because he's a leader in the sense that he does his job very well, and he looks to be the guy that can galvanize others.
Yes,
and he doesn't need to be the voice.
Especially the kids in the secondary.
Oh, exactly, because in the secondary, the Steelers are young. That was what Carter's classroom was about on Thursday. They're young. They're still learning. I think that especially people like Artie Burns, they need to boost they need to learn to play with that confidence, and that takes time. And I think Joe Hayden, he's a guy, he got beat a lot by people like T.Y. Hilton and Antonio Brown when he was in Cleveland, but he never let that stop him from coming out the next play and giving his best shot.
Kept playing. There's no way we're letting go of the theme now. We've made it through 3 segments of this. So, one more.
Oh, what you got here?
Ben Roethlisberger versus Randy Fichtner. Who's calling the plays? Come on, you're watching the film. You know who's at the line. You can see the head motions. You can see how much of it's audible. How much is Ben running? And I underscore the term running, this offense.
I think Ben Roethlisberger has the reins of what's going on. I think Randy Fichtner sets things up and says going to the game, this is what you need to look at.
How's that different from Haley?
I think Haley designed plays to go in certain directions. Like, for example, you're seeing a lot more. I talked about this in War Room this past week with how the Steelers are doing extremely well with yards after catch because Ben Roethlisberger is targeting underneath and getting the right spots, and they're running because they have the space. Todd Haley, his yak, the yards after catch in his offense would be designed.
They knew what yak meant.
Exactly. Sorry, yeah. But the thing is that those yak yards that come from we're planting a screen over here, we're designing it to go over here, and it would be Ben Roethlisberger's designed first read instead of saying, "Hey, I'm going to give you the option of Antonio here, Juju here, Connor here, McDonald there, and maybe James Washington there." Now when he processes that, he's like, "All right, I know what to do with this play when there's 2 safeties or 1 safety, and I can take this."
Was there a concentrated emphasis on the part of Ben and/or Coach Fichtner to go with these intermediate crossing routes that we referenced earlier? Because there was a lot of it. And honestly, Carter, this isn't a criticism at all. They won the game and they did well enough offensively, but there wasn't much in the way of deep balls.
No, yeah.
They were looking for plays that were 10, 15 yards down the field, and they hit them.
I mean,
who's doing that?
I think Fichtner's the one that's coaching Ben Roethlisberger to remind him you can operate this way.
It's rhythm.
Because it's rhythm, it's timing, and it's also acknowledging where his strengths are. Remember last year when everyone was complaining, what's up with Ben Roethlisberger's deep ball? Where's the deep ball in the first 8 games because he couldn't hit Martavis Bryant? I think the same thing is
actually the same thing was going on for the most part in the first 2 games.
Exactly.
Of this season.
Of this season, and I think that it's a thing that it just comes with time through a season when he starts feeling himself again as he gets into the rhythm of the season. And Fichtner's saying, "That's okay. I'm not going to force you to keep making throws that you're uncomfortable with."
Yeah, here's 30 for 38.
Exactly.
With
and you know what?
3 touchdowns.
If I throw a ball 50 yards and someone catches it, and there's no difference between that and me throwing it 2 yards and him running for 48.
Putting you on the spot here before we go.
Oh, man.
Best pass Ben threw in that game. Oh, I've got mine. I'll buy you some time.
Yeah. Give me yours.
That shot to Ryan Switzer, there was
that was a good one.
Millimeter that Ben needed to put it over there. He fired it like a bullet. You're not going to top it.
Third down. Juju,
I know you beat
Schuster.
You beat me because he's going to the right.
Yep.
And he does the Ben thing where he throws against his body.
And what I really loved about it is that this shows this is a second-year receiver that's still should be learning the offense.
He helped the quarterback.
Yep. And as soon as he shifted, Ben Roethlisberger said, "Zing, I got him." And
that's it.
And that kept the drive alive that finished the game.
As always, Carter wins.